Thanks for staying with us. We carry on with the town hall session of the Monday report. It's been a big day in politics, but of course there's a lot to also focus on that's tied to politics and the concerns about money laundering, the concerns about terror financing as well, all linked with that as well. And that is a discussion that we are having here. We have the experts, we have the audience, and we continue to engage to try and figure out a way forward. And just before the break, some more members of the audience were about to ask their questions to my experts here and allow them to do so. Sir, I believe we can start with you.
Thanks so much, Wahiga. My name is Edwin. I'm a researcher with particular interest in illicit financial flows and anti-money laundering. It's quite fascinating to just see the youth participating actually on this aspect, on the money laundering thing. Mm-hmm. Kenya is a signatory to various numbers of treaties, especially on money laundering. And I think by default of the Constitution, Article 26 of the Constitution stipulates that all these treaties that are actually ratified by Kenya forms part of the law. A critical aspect that needs maybe interrogation is extraterritorial jurisdiction, whereby it has actually made it difficult for the implementation of the proceeds of crime and anti-money laundering act. So mine per se is not a question, but just to contribute to the discussion. If you look at it, I think there's need for financial institutions to actually play a very bigger role in terms of stopping this thing called anti-money laundering. Because for money laundering to happen, it doesn't just occur in a vacuum. Of course, it has to go through the banks. And one of the critical things is money is not kept in statues of pillows under the bed anymore. So I think if there was any potential time that Kenya would have actually weeded out the issue about money laundering was when it was introducing the new currencies, the over 1,000 shillings. Still tied to that, whenever banks recruit their new staff, one of the things that they must go through is actually training on anti-money laundering thing. So it is actually a potential threat. If banks actually don't play the role, then of course all this aspect of dealing with money laundering is not going to end. Okay. Recently, Parliament early this year passed the POCAMLA, the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering. But you see, as much as the financial institution, like the accountants, who is actually one of the panelists, the aspect actually created lawyers as reporting institutions. But you see what the lawyers did? They actually went to court to actually block the implementation of the POCAMLA Act. So I think the responsibility is actually all of us just to proceed and curb all these things about money laundering.
Very, very insightful comment there. Let's pass the microphone on to, I believe it's this lady who has a question or a comment. Begin by introducing yourself, please.
Thank you. My name is Imagatoru, and I'm a student in the Kenya Railway School. Mine is more of a comment. First, I think why Kenyans or citizens have taken it lightly is because, you see, it was made a predicate offense, but it is not well enforced, like money laundering. And other offenses, such as corruption, Kenyans have been able to embrace it. So it's taken lightly for me, and I think that's why even the organizations are not well, they don't have the capability to actually curb it or go direct to it. The other one is probably if we can develop systems, we use more of soft money or cards other than using liquid money, and have well data analyzed, then probably we can be able to actually curb money laundering. That is according to me. Thank you very much.
Some interesting recommendations there. Okay, let's pass the microphone. We can take two more because I think those have been more of comments than questions. Briefly, please, and start by introducing yourself.
Okay, thank you. My name is Collins Lugongo, an MCA candidate from Kakamega County under Jubilee Party. And my first question is, we are putting so many assessments and maybe structures in position just to mitigate this problem. But have we realized what is it exactly that is causing the problem? Do we know what is it that is causing money laundering in Kenya or maybe in the entire world? And maybe what age bracket is getting involved in most of the times? Because we might be dealing with a problem and maybe we don't know where the source is. Maybe we are trying to offer solutions by putting structures in positions, but then we don't know what is the source. For example, if it's maybe the age bracket is the young people, then what is it exactly that is causing them to engage into this financial crime? Thank you.
I think that's a very important question. I hope my experts will delve into it. Let's take one last one. You can proceed, sir. Begin by introducing yourself.
Okay, thank you very much, Waiga. My name is Frederick Sassia. I said earlier on that I'm a political analyst and a current affairs analyst, and I'm interested in politics. So we are talking about money laundering, and I want to relate it to money laundering and politics. Any moment you mention about money laundering and politics, we tend to think so much about the leaders. Have you ever thought of what makes them now enter into that vice? For example, I'll say this. It is the expectation of the Kenyan voter that anyone or any contestant, political contestant, when they come to campaign, for them to be assured of the vote, they must give something. So like voter buying or voter bribery. That is what makes now the person who has the interest to enter into politics to now look for means to find money. And in that process, they get into the dirty money market. So for the civil society, my friend Frederick, have you people ever thought of maybe educating the Kenyan voter to understand how or what bar do you measure Kenya, a leader that you want to elect? For example, the Chapter 6 of our Constitution. Do we ever empower the Kenyan voter to understand that when you're electing somebody, you don't elect them based on their financial stamina, but you elect them based on their leadership qualities? That is the first question. Another question goes to the civil society. There is this perception in tag that you are the evil society. You know, you cannot come and give this information. You cannot come and conduct the civic education before you first clean your garments. What effort is the civil society making or putting in to ensure that this evil society tag has gone before you now start educating the Kenyan voter and the Kenyan people to understand that you don't elect people based on how much they have or how much flash you are, but you elect them based on the Constitution and the leadership ability that they have. Thank you very much.
Very powerful question there. And I think it's a good point now to get some reactions. Frederick, you were referenced directly.
Yeah.
I think it's only fair that I give you a right of reply. You may proceed.
Okay. I will start by responding to the question that was asked by Daktari here and the gentleman here.
Okay.
About having none or less progress in curbing money laundering and terrorism financing and the issues of recovering the assets or the finances that are proceeds of crime. I will say that these agencies that are involved in these processes usually depend on each other. And if one is incapacitated, then it will be very difficult for the process to go to the end. Because definitely the process will start with investigation. The DCI will identify, investigate, the financial intelligence unit, in our case, the FRC, will take up the process. There will be a court process, and then there will be orders to, freeze, the assets and recover the assets. So the capacity aspects comes in. So these agencies are required to be capacitated in terms of operating and depending on each other. So I think it's very important to understand that they do not work in isolation. They depend on each other. And if one is incapacitated, then the process will definitely be a slow process. We have many cases that are still ongoing. We might not be seeing them, but underground, we have many cases that are going on and the process is still on. And at the end, yes, money is recovered and it's brought back into development issues, as Wahiga said earlier. Responding to his question about putting our houses clean. Yes, civil society organizations have been accused of being evil society. I cannot deny that. But it's upon us also to put our houses clean. We are supposed to, it's very important for us to comply with all the required compliance regulations or compliance requirements with our regulators, which is something that civil society needs to do. We also need to do a lot of due diligence while receiving money or giving money, because it's one important aspect of dealing with money laundering and countering of terrorist financing, and also being accountable and also being able to seek account from the other party. So it's very important for us to also do a lot of due diligence. It's also very important, which we are trying, to be very transparent and accountable. Some of the organizations will publish, usually publishes annual reports that explains where they got their money, how they use their money. So it's usually in a narrative form and also in a financial form. So we've been trying to highlight and put out there all the information that we have with us and how we are working to improve that.
Okay, thank you for that. I hope you've gotten clarity on that. Bwana Hillary, you can proceed. I know there were many questions to respond to.
Thank you so much. Maybe I think I'll start with Dr. Juliet and my brother who asked about what makes the money dirty, and he also asked, we are so concerned about the processes and the institutions, and with no minimal, success rates, so to speak. Let me start with yours. I think one of the reforms that we have taken is to create the systems first. As to how they work, and my brother has tried to clearly put it, it's a system issue. If one element of the system is not working, then we will not have the efficiency that the system is meant to have effectively. I think the other day IBC was asked who is supposed to clear candidates. I think IBC didn't come clear that it's them who are supposed to give to clear candidates of Chapter 6 allegations and the let. And we have had that blame game over a number of state agencies, from ESCC, IBC saying it's ESCC, ESCC saying it's DPP, or DPP saying, it's judiciary. There's been a lot of blame game in terms of the institutional element, yet it's supposed to be a seamless activity. Once, let's say, FRC flags out a transaction that is suspicious, it points out to NIS to investigate, or to DCI to investigate, and ESCC, and before it's taken to judiciary. Judiciary says, the strengths of the cases are weak, and money laundering cases are complex, can be complex, because there are quite a number of processes that go into it. There's a places of placing of the dirty money. Once you've gotten the illicit money, either from drugs, either from corruption, either from human trafficking, or poaching, or other areas, people place it in various forms. In many cases, in the cash-based businesses and transactions, either in hotels, in supermarkets, in petrol stations. And they place them in either in gold chains, in cars. There are quite a number of areas that, some of these can get complex, that requires a lot of intelligence from the banking sector, from the, and I think this is a kind of intelligence that Matiang'i could be referring to, because with their intelligence, there are quite a number of wash and those kind of areas that you have seen quite a number of proliferation of malls with no occupancy, of supermarkets, of petrol stations, of car washes that, are beyond what the business can generate. And those are flagship areas in anti-money laundering issues. Mm-hmm. And it's a whole system. There is need for cooperation and collaboration for us to succeed in wars. The Procamla law, that's the process of crime and anti-money law, did not put aspirants as a list of the PEPs, the politically exposed persons. Mm-hmm. So that law does not, does not mandate FRC to investigate her as an aspirant or him as an aspirant. So we may not really question until now you become elected, or you are a government official who is resigning, then you have become a politically exposed person. Okay. So so I think there is a lot of collaboration and cooperation that's needed within agencies of state to effectively function. So if any of them does not function efficiently, then the entire process cripples. Thank you.
Collaboration, cooperation, two words I keep hearing in this discussion. Looking at your social media feedback, somebody here, Mimi Niwewe, you are concerned. You say our structures are so weak that cases are decided in Jersey Island on corruption and New York on drugs, and we take years and years here. It seems corruption is good, while Waisaka... okay, I don't quite understand that question. Samuel Orutra, you say the major obstacle in managing money laundering in Kenya is those assigned the duty to arrest and prosecute culprits instead seem to respect and adore those involved. Keep sending in your questions, your comments. 22422 is the SMS line. Hashtag is the Monday Report. I know I need to pick another 2 or 3 more questions here, but Bona Abrahams, there's a question there I want you to respond to. Somebody asked, have we understood the root cause of what is sort of giving speed to money laundering, target of those involved and reasons why?
Exactly. I think that is a very critical question. And when we started with the opening remarks here, what came up so strongly is that this money that is breeding money laundering issues is corruption at the end of the day. So any money that is gotten in criminal way, in a corrupt way, this is what now these perpetrators or people who propagate money laundering clean it in the process, so that at the end of the day, it is seen as clean money or money that is legitimate from a legitimate source. Waiga, it is also important to understand the ways or the processes of money laundering, for us to understand why we're talking about, why it's important for us to have this discussion here. Money laundering starts with placement. So this placement is where now you have these proceeds of crime, and then you already have it within yourself, either corrupt ways or terrorism, or you've sort of, let's bring it even closer here in Kenya, the KEMSA issue. Those monies, how do you now clean in the process? That is what we call placement. You've already gotten money from a criminal act or a criminal process, a corrupt way. And then at the end of the day now, there is what we call layering. Layering, this is where now you want to place it through a process or an institution for you at the end of the day, when it comes out, you can now put it to integrate. You integrate into a very sort of, say, buying a very expensive car, or getting an apartment for yourself, or even building so many, having so many businesses or something like that. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, it is seen that you're doing something. You've gotten money from, say, layering process, which is a bank. Mostly it's in the bank. So where you're getting these proceeds, you've layered that money there. Then you go back to that bank to withdraw that money and put it into sort of an asset. And then in the asset now, when people ask you questions, you'll say, I went to bank X or bank C and I got money so that I could get that. So these proceeds of money laundering is basically from corrupt deals and criminal acts at the end of the day. So there is a question, Waiga, that one of the citizens has asked about voter bribery. It is very critical. I told you about research that we did last year. Not a research, a survey, an analysis that we did amongst our citizens. So we did sort of perception. What do they think about our leaders, the kind of leaders we want to have in place? And we adapted that report, My Leader, My Choice. You can find it in our website, www.tikenya.org. So when you read that report, one of the things that came out, especially among the youth, and you mentioned, it's good you mentioned the youth, is youth want to resign to a fate where whoever comes with money, any amount of money, and say, I need your vote, and they give you money in exchange of your vote, you quickly resign to that fate and you give that vote, which is very funny and very dangerous, resigning to that fate. So what are we doing? We are the majority as youth. I'm using the youth now. You are the majority as youth. Voters in this Kenya. So what are we doing as youth? Again, for us to see how we can cushion ourselves from getting into this process of getting proceeds of crime through voter bribery, and then we put people now, the 40% we are talking about here, which the government institutions are also saying, yes, we are likely to have these 40% of these leaders getting into these positions. So what will happen at the end of the day? So why can't we count ourselves out and say, I can't resign to this fate as a youth? Yes, even if they give me the 50 shillings, and I like what Dr. Aria said, that she's going into this politics without money. She's going to sell the agenda to the people. And then when people buy the agenda, they'll bring you back into the leadership position. So that will be a clean sort of engagement with the people. And people will get your ideas and see what you can bring to the table and in terms of your leadership. Now looking into Chapter 6 of our Constitution. That is another thing. So, my brother, it is very key, very important that, yes, we are the majority. But what can you do so that you don't get involved and be part of the process that says we want to use this process of crime, of corruption, to now bribe voters, and we have these kind of leaders, we don't want to have them in these political positions and the leadership of this country. Very important.
Let me allow Hillary, you have one comment?
Yeah,
briefly?
Just, maybe quickly, just to say that, the proceeds of crime and anti-money laundering activities is a respect of no age, no gender. Everyone could be a culprit. If you are engaging in drug trafficking, whether you as a youth or you as a mother, you're engaging in human trafficking, you are engaging in money laundering activities, or just in terms of corruption. I think I can mention because a public case. You saw in the case of Waititu in Kiambu, the implications of the daughter. The daughter, because she is a recipient of proceeds of crime, she became an accomplice in that process. So you could be a daughter, a son, a friend, a business partner. But as long as you're engaged or you have been facilitated with the process of crime, you are an accomplice, and hence you'll be considered to be engaging in activities of money laundering.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for that. Let's get final comments in the interest of time. So what I'll do, I'll have one from the front, one from the center, one from the back. New voices. Let's start with you, sir. My goodness. Okay, we're going to do this very quickly, but briefly. Name and question or comment. Let's start with you, sir. Maybe begin. Okay, we have a problem with that microphone. Please go ahead. Whoever's next, ask us. He gets this one fixed.
It's fixed. Thank you, Ahiga. My name is Wallace Kenywa, a young leader and also a candidate, an independent candidate at Embakasi West constituency, Umoja 2 ward. My question goes to Hillary. From ISPAC. What is your role in capping or determining the amounts of aspirants are about to spend? I think this was put by IEBC. As an institution, are you involved in capping the amounts of the president and so on to the level of the MCA? And if not, what do you think should be done so that you and other financial institutions be involved?
Thank you. Next. Question or comment, and start with your name.
My name is Simon Awene. My question is, we've complained a lot about the whole, then we have also been explained about the process and the structures. But my question is, what are you doing, specifically Mr. Abraham, from the Transparency International, to block these people that have been accused of, that are facing serious cases in court of money laundering and some other economic crime? What are you doing to block them from being cleared by the IBC to contest?
Okay, thank you. Let's take another one at the back there. Did I see someone with a microphone? Briefly, comment or question, and also introduce yourself.
Good evening.
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Crispus, LG Electronics. I'm also an evangelist on IT. I have to raise some questions.
Please keep it to one, please. Go ahead.
A question and probably a comment.
Okay, briefly, go ahead.
Okay, one, we need to look at another bigger picture than what we see on financial crimes. We have what we call BEC crimes, like the electronic crimes through emails, phishing, and all that kind of stuff. Then we also have to understand crime begets crime. This is the greatest challenge we have in this country. We have cases like the one someone tried to raise on Twitter. I think actually, Waiga, you raised that one on a Chris Okemo. We stopped that in 2011. That's when Kenya actually was actually rated as one of the countries that could not actually solve money laundering. How, or rather, going forward, how are will we be in a position to have a pedestal to talk about money laundering on the ground, while in the international community, we are not in a position to adhere, or rather, to be in a position to present the same people who have issues in the international community in terms of money laundering, to give them actually, or rather to hand them, or rather extradite them to those institutions.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's get your question or comment, sir.
Okay, last one, Collins from Kakamega. And my main question goes to the panelist from Muslims for Human Rights. Like, what is the exact role of religion in this? And then maybe a comment to make is that a white man said something well done is better than something well said. So why can't we partner together, the civil societies and maybe ourselves, some of the young leaders? Why can't we spread this message to the public? Why can't we do something like civic education so that we combat this problem? Thank you.
Thank you. I have room for two more. I'd seen a hand closer to the front. I think it was here. Oh, my goodness. We're not supposed to... Is there someone who hasn't asked a question? Yes, I want to give her priority. Can we get a microphone? Where's the nearest microphone here? Tafadhali. Let's help me with that. Help me with that. I'm just trying to be fair so that you don't accuse me of something. Please, there's a microphone behind you. Please ask your question. There we go. To this lady. Yes, please. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Aiga. My name is Dorcas Makale, Strategic Mbakas East, and a blogger to Honorable Baboino. I got only one comment, or rather question, that now that we have those money launderers and this wash thing, what is the way forward for our country? How can we stop this for our generation to grow? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, because so many are repetitive, I can only give a new person who wants to ask a question. If you haven't asked a question, you can ask now. Are you going to ask a question? No, you've changed your mind. You haven't asked a question. Let's get a microphone to that gentleman at the back. We'll take that as the last. If we get another chance, I'll do another round. But let's first finally get from that gentleman. Go ahead.
Thank you, Wahiga. My name is Louis Ngalese. My quick question, and this goes to everyone in the panel. What are some of the internal structures within the organizations? Particularly, I know ISPEC, they have a AML and CFT guideline for accountants. So I would love to understand what, let's say, Muhuri and Transparency do have for internal structures that to sort of combat and prevent money laundering. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good questions being posed here. Let's immediately get a response. And I think I'll start with Muhuri here. We haven't heard your voice in the last round. That's Frederick Okado. You may proceed and respond to some of those questions.
Thank you very much. Maybe to clarify your question. One, Muhuri is not a religious organization. That should be clear. And secondly, I am not a religious leader. And thirdly, the debate of religious institutions receiving money that is purported to be dirty money has been out there, and I know we understand how this discussion was. But I think in the civil society sector, we also have faith-based organizations that are at the same time civil society organizations affiliated to religious organizations. And I think it's upon them to also create a lot of awareness to their congregates and also to the communities that they reach out to on the issues of money laundering and terrorism financing and illicit financial flow, and how that money can end up into their religious institutions. I think that is the best thing that can be done as far as religious institutions is concerned. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I don't think there's another one for you. We can allow. Okay, I think Abrahams, you're next. You can respond.
Yes, I think I have like three concerns. One is the clearance of those with integrity issues, especially around Chapter 6. Yes, what we do, we've partnered with a number of institutions. You heard from Hillary saying IEBC didn't come out clear to be the institution mandated to clear aspirants, political aspirants, to vie for these political seats. So what we did, we've gone to court so that we have the court pronounce itself so that we know who exactly or who amongst the institutions that are mentioned, the IBC, ESCC, the DCIO, DPP, who is supposed to clear these candidates so that those who have integrity issues are denied clearance and they are not allowed to vie for these political positions. So we await the pronunciation of the court. That case is in the court because we face the same dilemma. We had a lot of engagements with our partners together with other institutions, and we went to these institutions, IBC, SEC, and then we would not get this, the right answer who is supposed to work on Chapter 6. So we hope before the timelines that are set for clearing all these political aspirants, we will have to know who exactly among the agencies is supposed to do the clearance. The question on what do we do? The way forward, madam. It's very clear that as an institution or as organizations, we need to team up. As my brother spoke and said, it's now time for us to team up and see what we need to do as a country, regardless of whether we are CSOs, whether we are institutions, whether we are government entity, or whether we are citizens, or even political aspirants. We need also to team up and see what we can do. There are recommendations in a number of reports. We've spoken here that what is supposed to be done is bring out those red flags. When you see something not normal, the voter bribery we're talking about here, those are the red flags that we want to see. Let's come out, deny these things, let's refute them, let's say we are not party to those things. Internal structures, as an institution as Transparency International Kenya, we are privileged to get some resources from some institutions and donors, and we are looking into, we did some research this March, and what came out is there was need for participation of CSOs or civil society organizations, yes, in the process of FATF, that is Financial Action Task Force. That is the mutual evaluation reviews that is supposed to be done in a country, because there are three critical ways. One, we are so much into a number of sectors, the security sector, the peace issues, the justice issues, and government perhaps may not have enough resources to look into those sectors. If we bring also the capacity around those sectors, then we can complement what the government is doing. The other thing is, of course, as an institution, if we can partner with the government, and government is ready to partner with CSOs, then we can bring the change that is so desired by all of us. Yes. So we don't need to compete, but we need to complement each other's roles. Where they don't have capacity, where we have institutions that we've put in place to cap these money laundering issues, then if we come in to also complement and also bring more resources and build the capacity so that they are capacitated enough to sort of mitigate this kind of money laundering happening from a country, then that is another thing that we are looking into as very key. So we are privileged as an institution. We have that resource, we have that money, and we are reaching out to FRC, reaching out to SMLAC, who is supposed to do, who is charged with the responsibility of reviews the mutual evaluation reviews that is supposed to be done every year in the member countries of FATF process. So that is what exactly we do, and we are always ready to complement with the government, so long as we reach out to have the desired change, especially around transparency and accountability.
Okay, Hillary, please proceed.
Thank you so much. I think Wallace asked what is ISPAC doing in terms of campaign financing. And I can respond this way, that one, the mandate to set the limits and the regulations of campaign financing is with the IBC, and that quite a number of times the IBC has brought in regulations towards campaign financing. In 2013, Parliament postponed it to be implemented from 2017. 2017 again, it was postponed to be implemented 2022. 2022, you saw it last year. It was quashed indefinitely to be postponed to be implemented in 2028 and the like. Every now and then, I think Parliament has been cautious, even the set limits. I think let's not even talk about the limits. Even the spirit to implement those limits is not there, has not been there. And what we are saying is unless we know the sources, unless we know the sources, there will be no level playing field. Because again, the next discussion will be what is the appropriate amount to use to campaign. And I think our recommendation has been it should not be more than what you're going to get into in office. Then that should be the limit ideally. But I think there has been no, the political buy-in and leadership through the legislature for selfish interests, and especially for anti-money laundering issues, because they want the dirty money to keep on circulation, and that one will always not level the playing field as such. So the Institute will continue to push for the enactment of those regulations and for the adherence to it. I know there are challenges in terms of implementing the same. How do we implement, how do we monitor, how do we say that candidate X has utilized so much and candidate Y has utilized so much? I think those are administrative issues that I think, again, through collaboration and cooperation between the citizens, between the various actors, the state and non-state actors, we're able to monitor effectively the usage and utilization and say that by the look of the kind of advertisement you did, a kind of radio, these indicators are there, from media to civil society, to state and non-state actors, to citizens themselves. We're able to collectively, if we wanted as a country, to monitor these aspects and make it to use.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I know that was hopefully supposed to be the last comment, but Frederick, you look like you must say something.
I just want to add and respond to his question about what we are doing to strengthen civil society to avoid vulnerability of being used as money launderers or financiers of terrorism. One, I think the most important is compliance with the regulations. Second is also strengthening the internal governance structures within our organization. Third is also strengthening our financial management systems within our organizations. And fourth is the transparency and accountability thing that I was talking about. We must be transparent, we must be accountable with the funds that we receive and use to citizens or to public in this country. That is the most important.
Thank you very much. We are going to have to end it there, because if we carry on, we'll find ourselves into Tuesday, and I told you the show would end on Monday. So we're going to have to wrap it up there. But let me read some feedback here. Kidhaka Gashugo, you say, the group to tame seriously in the political arena that perpetuates money laundering and uses political process to protect the same politicians. Look at current political groupings, some of which are on a get-rich-quickly mission. This should be an elections agenda. Faith Lukosi wanted to know what role civil society plays specifically in the fight against money laundering. I feel that they are not doing enough to sensitize people on this sensitive issue that's contributing to inflation and the high cost of living. Faith, I believe you watched this program since the beginning, and they have taken time to walk us through what they are doing, and that's part of the reason why we are here today. And you can engage them more on social media, at ISPA Kenya, at TI Kenya, at Muhuri as well. And we can carry on the discussion on social media. But I have the unfortunate duty of wrapping up this discussion for now, despite the many questions I can still see our audience want to ask. And so we're going to have to leave it here. I thank you once again to my panelists who've taken time to be here with us and to really wade into this discussion that sometimes doesn't quite catch the headlines, but is so important in determining the future of our nation. Bona Abrahams Misoi, Programs Manager, Transparency International Kenya, thank you for your time today. Frederick Okado, Program Officer, Muslims for Human Rights, Asante Sana. And last but not least, Hilary Onami, Director, Public Policy and Research, ISPAC, for being here with us today. We certainly hope all stakeholders who are involved in this have been able to listen to this discussion and make some resolutions on the way forward. And to my audience for the day, thank you so much for being here with us and for asking very insightful questions to help Kenyans understand what's going on, to ask questions on behalf of Kenyans as we figure out our way forward. With less than 90 days to the polls, this is a discussion we'll keep having, and we certainly hope for more forums like this to wade into the topic of money laundering around an election that is very high stakes, so to speak. And we certainly hope that we will find solutions moving forward. On behalf of the whole team that's made this broadcast possible, it's been a pleasure bringing you the town hall session of the Monday Report live from the Panari Hotel in Nairobi. But it's been a big broadcast on a big political day. On behalf of myself, Trevor Mbija, and Yvonne Okwara Matole, and the whole team that's worked on this broadcast from 9 o'clock till now, thank you for tuning in, and to our sign language interpreter as well. I can't really tell who that has been, but asante sana to you as well. Oh, Joki Shege, thank you for that. We say good night, stay safe, and of course, let's keep having these discussions to ensure that we have a better Kenya for ourselves and for future generations. We'll see you soon.